And here we have true facts about the wizard. The wizard is a hermit-like creature that dislikes sunlight and outdoors in general. They normally make their nests in smelly, dry places, like old libraries, towers with poorly built foundations, or their mother's basement. A baby wizard is known as a wizlet, and are born with bones made out of wet paper towels. Because of this, few grow to maturity, as most die by getting into fights with common house cats, or by sneezing too hard. The wizard is known as the Dragons of the Arcane, as they are really just giant pack rats. Only instead of hoarding random items for the sake of nest building, the wizard will hoard magic scrolls and spell books, as well as random items because they like to collect the shiny. Once a wizard grows old enough, its magical power becomes something amazing. No longer does it rely on a simple fireball, but it will reshape the fabric of reality and even stop time. Or just use a bigger fireball, that works too. Hello and welcome to the Wizard Breakdown, where I look at the 5th edition Wizard class and give my thoughts and recommendations. I will not be going over subclasses, as they are a future video project. There are way too many of them, and UA and Homebrew is for another time entirely. So Skirtify your wands and Accio your spellbooks, because...
Do you have any idea how serious this is?
The Wizard...
The wizard!
...has one job and only does one job correctly. Cast spells. Most of what the class does is collect, amass, assemble, compile, and hoard magic. Your subclass will do little except allow you to learn certain spells better than the other spells, with few exceptions. This being said, the wizard can be a powerhouse, if you can survive that long. Your hit die is a 6 and you have no proficiency with any kind of armor, so you are regulated to robes at best and pajamas at worst. You know how to use daggers, darts, slings, quarterstaves, and light crossbows, which unless you're dumping points into dexterity, you probably won't ever use because you have cantrips. Your saving throws are intelligence and wisdom, and you can pick 2 from this list of skills. After getting your starting gear, we can move to class features, of which there honestly aren't that many. Level 1 grants you access to spellcasting, where you pick up 3 cantrips from the wizard spell list and gain a spell book to record all of your spells in. You start with 6 level 1 wizard spells, and you need to have your spellbook with you in order to catalog new spells into it. Losing your spellbook means you no longer have access to those spells, so unless you have a copy of said spellbook lying around somewhere, which is super expensive, you are out of luck until you find a new spellbook. The wizard must prepare spells equal to their intelligence modifier plus wizard level, and must use a spell slot accordingly. So if you have a level 1 and 2 spell slot, you can cast Magic Missile at level 1 or level 2 by using that spell slot. You may change your prepared spell list after a long rest. However, here we can talk about one of my least favorite things about 5th edition. Spellcasting for the most part in D&D is based off of Vancian magic. Matt Colville explained it better than I ever could, so you can go check out his video, I'll link it down below. But
I hate it.
I hate it that it makes absolutely no sense that you have to go through all of this trouble when it comes to spells. And every table I've played at or have run, it's always really been glossed over and ignored because it's stressful and just not fun. But that's just my personal gripe. Back on topic, ritual casting can also be done with a wizard spellbook and does not require to be part of your prepared spell list. A spellcasting focus can be used in the case of some spell material components, if you're into that sort of thing. Every time you level up as a wizard, you gain 2 more spells from the wizard spell list up to the level of spell slot you have available to you. All expended spell slots are recovered at the end of a long rest. Also at level 1, you gain Arcane Recovery, which allows you to regain half of your wizard's level, rounded up, in expended spell slots once a day after a short rest. So if you're at level 4, you can regain 1 level 2 spell slot or 2 level 1 spell slots. However, this can only be done for spells of 6th level or below. At 2nd level, you get your turn with a sorting hat and choose your Arcane Tradition. This is essentially your School of Magic subclass that allows you to learn some spells faster than others, as well as a couple odds and ends that can be really cool depending on how you use them. You get improvements to your Arcane Tradition at levels 6, 10, and 14. Ability score increases start at level 4 and continue at levels 8, 12, 16, and 19. so you'll have plenty of opportunities to max out your intelligence or pick up some more feats for survivability. So remember back at level 2 when you got something that was exclusive to the wizard and not just gaining more spells? Well, that road is long and lonely until you make it to level 18 and gain Spell Mastery. You can pick 2 level 1 spells and 1 level 2 spell that you can cast without using spell slots at their lowest level. By studying for the length of a long rest, you can change these spells out. I personally don't see this as super useful because most of your cantrips are more powerful than a base level magic missile. And being able to cast Mage Armor at will probably isn't super useful at 18th level. But who knows, I'm sure there are people way more creative than I am that could totally come up with something very unique and interesting. Your 20th level skill is Signature Spell, which is a slightly more powerful but less awesome version of Spell Mastery. You pick 2 level 3 spells which are now always prepared and don't count against your prepared list. You can cast each of them once at 3rd level without using a spell slot. Afterwards, you must use a spell slot once again. You regain uses after a short or long rest, and, you know...
Same, but different, but still same.
The wizard
The wizard!
is frustrating in the fact that it is a glass cannon that learns so many spells, but ultimately that's all it can do is just learn spells. You're typically relegated to the back of the line due to your low health, and once you use up your big spells, it takes a while for your cantrips to be viable in a combat sense. However, the wizard can be great RP potential. Mad scientists, the aged scholar, magical girls, alchemists, the list goes on. And when it comes to being a wizard, you're not limited to a single story archetype. If you're creative with the fluff, you can have a lot of unique ideas set up for your character. Instead of a pile of books, why not have a staff with each spell etched into the surface? Or your spells are alchemical formulas that you whip together on the go. Regardless of what school of magic you focus on, toy around and see what you can make unique about the class. Even if it's not mechanically relevant, sometimes flavor can make all the difference in the world. Magic users have been in media for ages, and you can't really take 2 steps into a fantasy genre without running into one of some kind. When it comes for inspirations, you have libraries worth of reference. Gandalf, Harry Potter, Morgan Le Fay, and Merlin are just a few of the greatest mages of all times. When I make a wizard, I typically go for a more well-rounded build. I tend to focus on defense and utility, making attacks at long range so I don't have to get up close and risk dying. Favorite spells include Unseen Servant, Misty Step, and the ever-classic Fireball. And if I'm not a pure wizard, I typically dip a level or 3 into a martial class for the sake of armor and weaponry, just to raise my overall survivability. That just about does it for the wizard breakdown. Starting off can be a little rough, but it's no doubt rewarding to have a wizard go from 2 hit points of cowardice to being the maker of worlds. If you're wanting to design a character who's more brains than brawn, and have fun doing it, try the wizard. You might just find something that is truly magical.